3,000 years ago, a few hundred years after Joseph lived, there lived a guy called David in the land of Israel. And when he was the youngest of 8 brothers, and when he was little, it was his job to look after his father's sheep. So he would spend his time in the fields looking after the sheep and protecting them from the wild animals. Well, when he grew up, it wasn't long before he became the commander of a group of men. And he was very good at what he did, and his men loved him. They would go out to battle, they would fight against the enemy, they would defeat the enemy, and the enemy would run away in fear. David was very good at what he did. And I want to tell you about some of the men that were in David's army. 3 of them were related to David. They were in David's family. They were his nephews, his sister's sons. And the oldest was Joab. Joab was the general of David's army. He was in charge of all of David's forces. Then the next brother, he was in charge of David's elite forces. These were 30 or so really excellent warriors. And he himself once killed 300 of his enemies with just a spear. And then the third brother, he was known to be as quick as a gazelle. He was just really, really fast. There was a couple of other people in David's army who were related to one another, and that was Uriah and his father-in-law, Eliam. Well, one time it was harvest time. David was just outside Bethlehem. He was camping in a cave there, and Bethlehem was occupied by the enemy. And Bethlehem was a town where David had grown up. It was the town where he had looked after his father's sheep. And while he was there in the cave, 3 of his men came to visit him, 3 of his elite forces. And as they were chatting and passing, David said, "Oh, what wouldn't I give for some of the water from the well in Bethlehem, the one by the gate?" Well, he's 3 months old, right, we'll do it. So they went down to Bethlehem, they broke through the enemy lines, they got some water, and they brought it back for David for him to drink. But when David was given the water, he said, "I can't drink this. You could have died getting this water for me." And so he gave it to God. He poured it out on the ground as an offering to God. And these are just some of the things that David and his army were famous for. They were quite an army.